everybody. I have been profiling decks that are on the newer side lately, so I am changing things up with this April 2021 TG deck profile, and the next one is going to be Amazonas, which I am excited about as well. Looking at these types of decks like TG from a modern perspective, the problem is that many of these TG monsters only special themselves or have some kind of effect related to helping you synchro summon in some way, but some of them do have 2 effects per card. But what I'm really trying to say is that your board, no matter what you open, is not going to be anything close to viable in terms of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! As in ending with 2 synchros or a synchro and a link maximum on the first turn. That said, this deck being a classic synchro deck, it's still definitely cool. Be warned though, decks like these are not going to compete, in today's Yu-Gi-Oh! But if you're playing a friendly match where your opponent is also using a retro deck, then it's perfect. So because the whole deck is pretty low cost, the only expensive card that I included was 2 copies of Crystron Halqifibrax. I replaced cards like Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence with Effect Veiler and Solemn Judgment. So 3 times Screw Serpent. Revive a level 4 or lower TG upon normal or special. This effect, this exact effect finds its way into many archetypes, but in an older deck like this, it actually makes it one of the best cards in the whole deck, so it's the only TG monster that I maxed out on. While it is dead on the first turn by itself, if you also open Foolish Burial, you can bring back something like a Booster Raptor to go into a level 5 synchro. This card also banishes itself from the graveyard to boost or reduce the level of a TG on the field by 1, which is actually an example of kind of what I was saying. The second effect, it does have 2 effects, but the second one isn't that great. But it still can help you make synchros more easily. What I do wish is that this card wasn't a tuner. The way I have this deck here, the majority of the TG monsters are tuners, so I did put in some more generic monsters to help even out the tuner to non-tuner ratio. 2 times Cyber Magician. This card lets you use non-tuners in your hand in addition to itself on the field for a synchro summon. So if you have double Catapult Dragon in your hand, for example, you can make a level 5 synchro. Some of these TGs do have an end phase floater effect too to search another TG, which does provide you with sort of a safety net if you can't make a synchro with what you control and just have to leave that monster on the field by itself for the end of the turn. And of course, that search does help you thin the deck and gain card advantage. 2 times Catapult Dragon. This is one that you may actually want to increase to 3 because it does special a tuner from the hand and it can help you go into synchros in 1 turn, just dump out your hand onto the field. 2 times Tank Grub. This one can be used as a tuner or a non-tuner also if it's for the synchro summon of a TG synchro. So if you are trying to go into Hyper Librarian or Wonder Magician, you can bring this card back with something like a Screw Serpent and you can make that synchro summon happen. 2 times Warwolf. This card special summons itself when a level 4 or lower monster is special summoned, which is similar to a lot of these monsters, just useful for building up your board with more synchro materials, but this one is actually a level 3 non-tuner. So it is helpful just with the level configuration. This card, it does have a floater effect as well, but do remember that the search during the end phase with this card and the other TG monsters, it does still happen if these cards are popped while face down. 2 times Booster Raptor. This one just special summons itself if you control a TG monster. Just my opinion here, I do wish that some of these were higher levels to help out with these synchro summons a little more easily. 2 times Gear Zombie. Very similar to Booster Raptor, but a tuner. Just another special summon. 1 Striker. So this card is also a special summon, but requires you to control no monsters and requires that your opponent controls at least 1. For that reason, it's not quite as useful as cards like Booster Raptor, but this one is a level 2 tuner, which could be what you need. And for the non-TG monsters, 3 times Goblinberg. So I thought this was a fairly good fit in this deck because you need more cards to just like I said, dump out your hand on the first turn. Marauding Captain, Tin Goldfish, they would be fine choices too. But I did decide against Red Resonator because it's a tuner, and like I said, trying to put some more non-tuners in here. 3 times Reborn Tengu. Unlike with XYZ summoning, this card does get its effect when used as synchro material. So I do think it is a solid choice for spamming as much as you can to just build up your board, which is this deck's goal. One Miscellaneousaurus. So this one is just in here to be dumped with Foolish Burial, to banish itself as the only monster that you banish, then special summon Booster Raptor, which is a level 1 from the deck, and then hopefully you use Booster Raptor as material before it's destroyed. One times Pancratop, so this is an easy high-level body for Synchro summoning, as well as disruption if you leave it on the field, of course. And furthermore, Miscellaneousaurus does have a little bit of added synergy with this card because it can actually protect Pancratops from activated effects if you send this card from your hand to the graveyard, because Pancratops is a dinosaur monster. And then finally for the monsters, 3 times Effect Veiler. So this is still the budget hand trap of choice, seeing that Common Ash Blossom goes for a whopping $20, which is kind of ridiculous, seeing that the structure deck that it came in originally sold for $10 for the whole thing, no less. 2 times Pot of Desires for the spells. This card is a good fit in this deck, I think, because you're just hoping to draw more monsters that special summon themselves or special summon other monsters to go into more synchros. You just want as many materials at your disposal as possible, so the plus is worth the banishing, in my opinion. 2 times Fossil Dig. This is searching mostly Booster Raptor, but possibly Miscellaneousaurus. 1 Monster Reborn, so this is just a staple in older decks that need help with summoning more. 1 times Living Fossil, so serve the same purpose pretty much as Monster Reborn in this deck. 1 Upstart, so just, adds a tiny bit of consistency. 1 Rhoda, so this is to search Goblinberg. 1 Foolish Burial, this is to send either Miscellaneousaurus or really any TG to the graveyard. And for the last spell, Raigeki, so this is just a good staple card to put in a classic deck such as this one. And then for the traps, 3 Solemn Judgment. So in addition to the Veilers, this is much needed defense and disruption in this kind of classic deck. So for the extra deck, 2 Trident Launchers. So the thing about this card is that now with Master Rule 5, if you have 2 or 3 materials on the field, you can generally just skip the step of summoning this card and go straight into the Synchro. It does special from the hand, deck, and graveyard though, so if you don't have the right levels on the field in the first place, maybe you will after you use this card's effect, but just remember that this card does lock you into TGs for the rest of the turn, and it does also protect the TG Synchros that it points to from targeting. 2 Halkaverback. So again, you really don't always need this card, because if you can make this card, you may be able to just go right into the Synchro, but of course you will be able to choose what level tuner you want from the deck, provided that it's 3 or lower. And this card, during your opponent's turn, can special summon a variety of tuner Synchros from the extra deck. So 1 Recipro Dragonfly for the Synchros. This card sends a TG Synchro you control to the graveyard to revive all of the materials used for that Synchro. Sometimes, depending on the materials used, the combined attack of all those monsters will be higher than the Synchro alone if you do plan on attacking. 1 Formula Synchron, so also a Martial Metal Marcher. These are some of the best tuner Synchros in a deck that includes Halkaverbacks, which both of these help with Synchro summoning, either as a quick effect or reviving a tuner. 1 Herald of the Arc Light. Sometimes playing this deck, all you can make on your first turn is 1 Herald with a Solemn Judgment set, which really is not that bad of an end board for this type of a deck. 1 Hyper Librarian. So this card really is more useful in decks that can spam better and plus multiple times with this card's effect, but in the TG deck, of course, I had to include this card. 1 Magician, so this card and Pancratops are pretty much what you have for spell and trap removal in this deck. This card does have a floater effect to draw 1 card, and it's also a tuner, which allows you to quick sync. And then Star Guardian, so another level 5 tuner Synchro that lets you quick sync. Being a level 5 means that it does go well with Librarian if you want to go into Stardust Warrior, and this card also recurs and lets you special from the hand. So 1 Goyo Guardian. I did want a level 6 Synchro in here, so it was either this card or Stardust Charge Warrior, which could work too because it would work with Stardust Warrior. This card was banned back in the day because he does have a very high attack for a level 6 Synchro, and in addition to his killer effect as Steel Monsters. Stardust Dragon. Again, I needed a level 8 Synchro to combo with Formula Synchron, and I did want to keep it on the cheap side too. So good, good card to stop destruction effects. And then finally, Stardust Warrior and Cosmic Blazar Dragon. So these cards have pretty much better effects than the TG Synchros of the same level and with the same requirements too, which is either a Tuner Synchro or however many non-Tuner Synchros. Stardust Warrior can negate summons, and Cosmic Blazar Dragon is an Omni negate, negates summons, and negates attacks too. Obviously, it is hard to make these cards, but if you can actually go into Cosmic Blazar with 2 level 5s and a Formula Synchron, sometimes you can use Formula Synchron for Stardust Warrior. You can bring Formula Synchron back with Monster Reborn. There are a fair amount of ways to make these cards if you do have the time to build up your board. And obviously they're really good, just hard to summon. That's pretty much it for the TG deck profile, April 2021. Thanks for watching. See you later.